Hi, I'm Dr. Jeff Crane. In my last section with you, I'd like to talk about the way that a doctor talks with so-called third parties. A third party is an organization or a person or a family member who is not the patient, but is connected to the patient. So we have sometimes a need to have a conversation with others about our patients. Let's take, for example, an insurance company wants to know the diagnosis of your patient so that they can pay you. To give that information, the patient must give permission to you so that you can share that with the insurance company. This whole topic of sharing patient information with third parties is an important one, particularly as our world becomes more and more technologically connected across the internet. Patient medical records are unfortunately becoming more and more public, so we must be very careful about how information is protected. Let's talk about patient confidentiality. The patient has a right to their own private medical information. There's no reason that we as doctors should hold any information back from them. But it's perfectly right for them to withhold that information from others. And just like a lawyer has patient or client-lawyer confidentiality or privilege, the doctor and the patient have a similar arrangement. We must protect our patient's information. There is conflict that comes when we must protect society, or in the case of a child who is 5 years old and is being sexually molested by a parent. Then we have an obligation to the child, who is a minor, as well as society, to protect that child from an abusing parent. So this role gets conflicted sometimes, but above it all holds the important role of confidentiality of patient information. There are some practical things about patient confidentiality that I want to share with you. Number one, don't have conversations in the hallway. Others can overhear what you say, and some of us have voices which carry farther than others. So be careful where you talk about patient information. Number two, give the patient permission to share with you what they want you to know and what they don't, and don't push them further. Yours is a privileged position. You need to know what it takes to treat them medically, and it's your job to build the trust required to go deeper. Hold that doctor-patient trust with great care because it forms the basis of the confidentiality that we must protect. Okay, let me deal with living wills and do not resuscitate orders. The Western world has developed this area of medicine extensively so that there are clear legal documents available to patients to declare their wishes about their final treatments in case they are unconscious and cannot decide for themselves. Some patients may decide that they do not want resuscitation, and others want you to do everything that you can to preserve their lives. Of course, there are practical decisions that must be made, but still, these documents help us help our patients. If we understand what they want, then we can help deliver that care in a better way. It's not our right to decide for them. That's a paternalistic model that we've talked about earlier in our sessions. As regards a do not resuscitate order, in the West, if a patient is comatose from a stroke and it's clearly said they do not want to be put on a ventilator for artificial respiration, and their medical condition is worsening, and yet the wife or the child wants you to do this, you're bound by the legal document not to try to extensively save that life with heroic measures. Those are hard decisions for us doctors sometimes, but it really does help if we know what the patient wants. Let's take the topic of informing patients about terminal illness. If grandmother has a newly diagnosed cancer, and the son and the daughter come to you as the doctor and they say, don't tell grandmother, we don't want her to know her diagnosis. I would tell you as a Western doctor, and as a doctor with over 30 years of experience, I think you must help that daughter and son realize that the parents and the grandparents have their own rights to knowledge, and it's very important that each patient have enough information to make decisions about medical issues that affect them. Let's talk about the special case of telling an older patient that they have cancer or withholding that information. Culturally, these are different ideas in different countries, as you've noticed. In the West, we believe it's important to tell the patient their diagnosis in all cases because it helps them make decisions that really matter at the end of their lives. No one can make decisions for a patient better than the patient themselves. And as we alluded to in previous topics, our job is to educate our patients in a way that they can understand and that they can participate in the decision-making process. For a child to come in and say, don't tell mother about the diagnosis of cancer, shortcuts the process, and it really steals from the mother a chance to have her own self-determination. So my advice to you is always, with empathy and with patience and with carefulness, share with patients what their diagnoses are. Many times in the intensive care unit or hospital, outside in the hall, a family member will ask the question, how long does mama have to live? I've heard this question many times throughout my medical career. It's always very dangerous to give family members an answer in terms of numbers of specific days or weeks. But one technique that I've used that I think will help you is to say, you know, no one can say how long your mother has to live. Her condition is serious, and only God really knows. But I would estimate that her time on this world or in this life is measured in terms of months, not days. And I think you can take hope with that. Or you might say something like, your mother's condition is very serious. I can't predict how long she will live. We never know how well someone is fighting or whether they're giving up. But you know, I would estimate that you'd measure her life on this earth in terms of days, not weeks. I can be wrong. I'm always here to speak with you, but I think you should set your final family business in order because her end is probably near. Those kinds of comments are general, they give some guidance, but they don't pin you down to something specific that the family can come back later and accuse you of. So try to be as helpful as possible, but as nebulous and general as you can be so that the patient's family can participate with you in the process of support. Thank you.